The notion that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity is a complex and multifaceted concept that has been debated by scholars, theologians, and media critics. On the surface, it may seem like a far-fetched idea, but upon closer examination, there are some compelling arguments that suggest a link between the two. The mainstream media's relentless coverage of global warming and its effects on the environment has been interpreted by some as a deliberate attempt to undermine Christian values and principles. One of the primary arguments is that the mainstream media's emphasis on global warming and the need for drastic action to mitigate its effects is a thinly veiled attempt to promote a secular, humanistic worldview that is at odds with Christian teachings. By emphasizing the role of human activity in causing climate change, the media is, in effect, shifting the focus away from God's sovereignty over creation and towards human agency and responsibility. This, some argue, is a subtle but significant challenge to the Christian doctrine of God's providence and control over the natural world. Furthermore, the media's constant drumbeat of doom and gloom about the consequences of climate change can be seen as a way of instilling fear and anxiety in the public, which can be used to manipulate people into accepting a particular agenda or worldview. This agenda, some argue, is often at odds with Christian values such as hope, faith, and trust in God's provision. By creating a sense of crisis and urgency around climate change, the media is, in effect, creating a narrative that is antithetical to the Christian message of redemption and salvation. Another argument is that the mainstream media's coverage of global warming is often tainted with a bias against Christian perspectives and values. For example, many media outlets have been quick to criticize and mock Christian leaders who have expressed skepticism about the severity of climate change or the role of human activity in causing it. This, some argue, is a clear example of the media's double standard, where Christian views are subjected to scrutiny and ridicule, while secular or humanistic perspectives are given a free pass. In addition, the media's emphasis on the need for drastic action to combat climate change has led to a proliferation of policies and initiatives that are rooted in a secular, humanistic worldview. For example, the push for renewable energy sources, sustainable living, and reduced consumption can be seen as a way of promoting a particular lifestyle and ethos that is at odds with Christian teachings on stewardship, dominion, and the responsible use of resources. By promoting these initiatives as the only viable solution to the climate crisis, the media is, in effect, marginalizing Christian perspectives and values. It's also worth noting that some Christian leaders and organizations have been actively engaged in the climate change debate, arguing that caring for the environment is a biblical imperative and a matter of Christian stewardship. However, these voices are often drowned out by the dominant narrative in the mainstream media, which tends to prioritize secular and humanistic perspectives over Christian ones. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity may seem like a conspiracy theory to some, there are some compelling arguments that suggest a link between the two. The media's emphasis on global warming and its effects on the environment can be seen as a way of promoting a secular, humanistic worldview that is at odds with Christian values and principles. By examining the media's coverage of climate change and its implications for Christian theology and practice, we can gain a deeper understanding of the complex and nuanced relationship between faith, culture, and the environment. Ultimately, Christians must be aware of the media's influence and be prepared to engage in a public square with a clear and compelling message about the importance of caring for God's creation.